What's going on? So today I wanted to go over part three of the packs that we're going through, and in order of my favorite goes Trickstar, Gemming Gremlin, Goblin, Griffin. Those are my favorites, and we'll just kind of walk through each of these. So some of them have army talent, some of them do not. Griffin does have an army talent, and it's actually a pretty sweet one. It doesn't initiate right at the beginning of the battle, but sometimes that's a bad thing because your troops have time where they're walking to meet each other a lot of times in battle, and you don't get to use all of the benefit of some specials. This one, on the other hand, it's too bad that it does take down to 10%, but there's a trade-off and everything. So in this case, you get 10 seconds after 10% of your troops have fallen, where your whole army gets an increase of attack of 200% for 10 seconds. So that's pretty strong for those 10 seconds. You're dealing some pretty serious extra damage. And I like it, but there's still better ones. As I've said, Trickstar is one of my favorites in this one, and we'll go over those here in a minute. So this is also a little bit tougher to get, but this also increases your whole army attack. It's a great one for your wall, and it's a strong familiar. Going into his skills real quick, max allied army size increases up to 50,000. Kind of speaks for itself. It's pretty cool to send 50,000 extra troops out there, so never a bad thing to add to that number. Training speed up to 5% extra, which isn't a lot, but I take everything I can get when it comes to training troops and increasing the speed at which they train. And that way I can get more troops in total over time of what I'm trying to build, right? So this is one of my favorites to build anywhere I can get it, including with familiars and heroes and wherever else I can get it. The recall all of the troops, when it's maxed, you get them back to your base within 6 seconds. So if you're somebody that likes to gather, then you might be out there and you might see your screen turn red and you go, crap, which one? And you're trying to figure it out. Well, you can just use your familiar here and just press a button and they'll all come home within 6 seconds. So you're completely safe in that case. As far as, it'll also, if you're, doing whatever, your troops are everywhere, you're scouting everywhere, and you have an opportunity to go do something, or you need to get everybody back, whatever it is, you can quickly do so by calling everybody back with that familiar, and it's pretty cool. But the army talent is the coolest piece of Griffin. Nosferus doesn't have an army talent. Skills, the Beast of Burden increases your army capacity up to 35%. So that's not just allied, that's your own army capacity. Cavalry attack up 10% if you are trying to hyper or increase a particular troop type and you're looking at cavalry on your side. This might add to that nicely. So that's something to consider if you're boosting cavalry in Pact 3 especially, because he'll complement another one. And then completes gathering for random gathering armies, 1 at first and 5 at max. So it's just like sending 5 armies out to random, whether you're talking for ore or for gold, for whatever, you get 5 random ones. And that'll refresh once a day, so it can turn into something nice for your resources. But that's it. He doesn't have an army attack, so we'll get into some of my favorite now. Gemming Gremlin is my second favorite, but all 3 of Gemming Gremlin, Goblin, and Trickstar will have this type of benefit for a specific troop type. So this one does infantry, and Gemming Gremlin does, that's who I was on. Goblin does cavalry, and Trickstar does range. So, but they all generally do the same kind of benefit to your troop type. So in this case, infantry in attack is increased when you max them out. Let's talk about max. Infantry attack is increased by 100% when 10% of your infantry troops have fallen. So imagine that you have 100 infantry, and each of them have exactly one attack might. Let's say that would put you at 100 attack might, right? So then you lose 10% of those 100, which brings you down to 90. But then you increase your attack might by 100%. So now your attack might is 2, and you have 90 troops. So now instead of 100, attack might total, you jump up to 180 attack might in total on that opposing army. And then if you lose another 10%, that keeps on stacking, right? So if I get down to 80, then 8 times 3, which is 24, that's 240 attack might with fewer troops, granted, but their attack might goes up, so it effectively makes it so that your attack might is increasing, but with fewer troops, right? That's pretty cool overall. That makes it a pretty darn strong piece of equipment, or that's a pretty darn strong familiar, to try and develop. It's very worthwhile. And same thing with all 3 of those familiars. Now, on the skills side, what makes this my second favorite is for the Stroke of Fortune. We have 1 to 2,000 max. At max, you'll have 1 to 2,000 gems. So effectively, that's 500 per day. And if you're getting 500 more gems per day, that's a lot more that you can do with a lot more things. And I'm starting to stack mine up. I have 87,000 right now, and I just often let those stack. I recently spent a little over 100 getting my VIP level up to 12 because it's just so much easier to collect gifts that way instead of clicking them one at a time. So I thought it was completely worth it and justified, especially with some of the increases in player experience and reduction in other areas of cost. So like time for initial buildings and stuff like that. So it's 100% worth it. But in any case, going to this guy, Jimmy Gremlin not only has that awesome arming talent, but then he's got the Stroke of Fortune, which grants those gems, and that's kind of a game changer a little bit. It speeds everything that you particularly want to do up, and so you can just sit there and save up gems for whatever task you want, and then just use the heck out of them to cause yourself to grow more rapidly and more quickly in the game. So this is a great free to play player tool. And in any case, so then the gem gathering speed is cool for when you have gem loads that appear in the world. You'll be able to gather at 10% faster, which is okay, and then 5% increase on construction speed, which is also okay. So altogether, that makes him pretty strong. As discussed, cavalry for the goblin, same kind of effect as the infantry. So you go up by 10%. You go up. Your attack goes up 100% by every 10% of cavalry troops that fall, and then gathering speed goes up, which is if you're a gatherer or if you have a bank that you're developing, extra cool. And then gold production goes up, which is just okay, but his next skill kind of complements that, and that is at max be able to get 6 to 12 million gold every single day and keep on bolstering your gold, which you can trade in cargo ships and do all sorts of stuff with. So that's a pretty strong one. But Trickstar is my favorite, and the reason why is because I love all 3 of these. One does research speed increase, which research is king. You've heard me probably say a million times. That is something that I want to always be aware of and increasing. And then ranged attack is, in my opinion, at least a type 2 troop to develop. So you got your main type and then your secondary type. which I think would at minimum by then be range. So I would start with infantry and go to range, or cavalry then go to range. But everybody's different. So in my opinion, this is a nice attack boost for ranged, on top of them having the ranged component to the same formula as the cavalry and the infantry. And then lucky stars, one of my favorite things. You get 100, 1,000, 10,000, or even up to 100,000, which I've never got, but I've gotten 10,000 quite a few times for holy stars. It's like opening 3 chests and you get one of those prizes out of it, and you get 3 of those every other day. And so that's nice for the labyrinth. Magus doesn't have an army talent, and the pact merging is pretty cool little feature there, so that's a bonus. I'll say I like it, because anytime you can merge more packs, I think is nice, added on to the speed that you can get. There's a fine balance, and everybody's opinion is different on those familiar buildings, but I like to merge 9 to 20 in that range of packs up to what I can, and then add these on, and then maximize my speed with springs. But this guy helps a lot. So alter boost stat duration plus 6 hours, that's pretty nice, and that stacks. So if you capture leaders and you're executing them one after the other, and you're like up to 3, 4, 5, 7, whatever it is, you're getting 6-hour boosts on each one of those. So for every 4 that you do, you're making another whole day out of your alter stat boost, which can be 35% of your attack and your defense and your health, and increased speed and travel speed and stuff like that. So pretty cool little extra there. And then fills the help bar for research. Awesome if you're going through a research phase where you're just doing research after research, trying to complete like a hell event or something like that. So at one of your higher levels where it matters a lot, you can click this button and max out all 30 of your helps that are available before you complete that research. And that way you can just jump on to the next one and get some major points for it. So that's kind of nice. And then, so he's just okay. Mole Shaman, another one that's just okay with no army talent. This one does infirmary capacity, so 5% if you have a bunch of infirmaries where you're up to 200,000 beds, then 5% would add another 10,000 beds. So you would be up to 210,000 beds with that 5% boost, which some would argue is worth it. I don't think it's worth developing. I think that there's other things worth developing, and that's probably his best boost. But I do like the infantry attack. The infantry attack is super nice if you're developing infantry like I am, and it just kind of adds that bonus to whatever else you're doing, like the gemming gremlin, for example, complementing this one, and those combined will make your infantry a lot more powerful. And then repairs 10% of your wall at minimum, and when you're maxed out 50%. So if you've done a lot of research on your wall, which I haven't, I've done literally 0 research on my defense side. So when it comes to the wall, if you have done a bunch of research and it takes a lot to repair your wall, and let's say you're ready to go into the dragon arena or whatever, and you need to really work on it, this will help you a lot. So you'll get a 50% repair, and then of the health of the total wall, and then you can use speed ups and whatever else you have, whatever resources to get it going for the other 50% of the wall once it's done burning, of course. Otherwise you need gravel. But that's it on this one, guys. If you have any questions, comments, anything like that, hit me up in the comment section, and I will see you in the next one. See ya.